Hello. I just want to kind of get on here and give you a quick update about, what happened today. And so today was day one of federal court. And so we're up here in Portland for, there's actually four hearings going on simultaneously. And so, with this, obviously the first one out of the gate was the OFF suit. And so if you guys are here, please leave a comment so I know if you guys are seeing this because I'm having issues because I'm in a hotel room, as you can see. It looks like the Ritz Marriott, but it's not. So if you guys can see this, please let me know. And what I'll do is I'll let people get on, and then we'll just touch base. There's a lot of things that I want to focus on today, and we did have some victories, and so I want to celebrate those victories, and obviously know that this is kind of where we're at. And so you guys, I just gonna give you guys kind of a brief update. If you guys can see me, thank you. I appreciate that. And so where we're at. So today was the first day up here in Portland. And so we're in federal court for Measure 114. And this, obviously this is probably going to be the first step of many. And so what's, really, really important to know here is, kind of what this is all going to look like. And I know there's a lot of people that are kind of not necessarily understand how all this stuff works. And so I want to make it as easy as I can for people to follow. And so this is the first time that I'm actually broadcasting this to my personal public page. Typically I do this inside of a Oregon Firearms Advocate group where, we've close to 80,000 members there, but I want to be able to give, because there's a lot of people that are messaging and want to know kind of what's happening today. And so I want to be able to get here, give you guys real-time information about, as best I can, because I don't want to give out all the things that are going on. And so, that's kind of where I'm at today. So I want to kind of touch and kind of paint a picture of what this looks like. And, so it started out, we got there, there's lots of maneuvering, and it's a lot of stuff that happened before we even got to court. There was a lot of, pre-trial hearings that were done. There was a lot of maneuvering on both sides. And so that's what happened today. And so, obviously our first, out of the gate, we had, Jessica Harris with G4. She's out of North Plains. She's an FFL. She did a spectacular job. And so if you guys are not familiar with G4 Archery, I definitely check her out and their company, because they have a great FFL up in the North Plains area. And so she's one of the plaintiffs. And so she kind of started everything off, and she did a really, really good job. And so, with that, they had some really good, back and forth. She was cross-examined by the other side. That was hard to watch. Some of the cross-examination, it was really hard for me to bite my tongue. And just because, I know where they're going with this information. I know what they're trying to do, and I know what they're trying to set up. And, just following as closely as I have over the past year on Measure 114, I know what's happening. And so that's where, I kind of have a lot of inside information because I've been a part of this process, the whole step, right? So when it was an IP, before it was an IP, when they're trying to figure out the ballot language, I was part of that process. So I've been part of this process every step of the way, and I've tried to help as best I can to obviously educate the people that are trying to make the decisions when it comes to this stuff, also educate you guys as the public. And so it's not an easy job. And there's a lot of work to it, but it's something that I'm really, really honored to be in this position. And it's afforded me some really cool opportunities and to meet some really, really great people and form some really long-term friendships. And so for that, I'm greatly thankful for that. So, Jessica Harris did a phenomenal job. And yeah. And I'm not gonna get too much in the comments yet, but yes, I do play the piano. I tickle the ivories, as they say. Not really. But thanks for making me laugh. And so this is my budget hotel room when I'm on the road. And so back to today, from that we had Adam Johnson. He was up next. He's with Coat of Arms. He's a guy that I met in the beginning of this process, and I've formed a really good friendship with him, and he's a guy that I really really respect. I respect his service, also what he's doing to help fight, Measure 114. He owns a coat of arms in Kaiser. He also does lots of training, so he's a solid dude. These are people that I recommend that, if we're looking for people like we're going to spend our money, let's spend it locally. Let's support these shops that are really helping with this situation. There's other shops that are involved. I get it. But today, these are the ones that were up, on the stand. And so Adam did a really, really good job. There's a lot of cross-examination there. I feel that he did very well. And so the hardest part is, we have to understand this is not going to end today. This is not going to end tomorrow. This is not going to end next week. We have to look at this we almost have to look at this at, I don't want to admit defeat. I want to win. Like, this is why we do this, is we want to win. But it's super, super important that we understand that this is a long-term fight. And this is just a skirmish. This is just, the way it's a chapter in the saga. This is a saga, and no side wants, it's going to go back and forth. There's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be, victors, and there's going to be ones that lose. And obviously what's going to happen is going to be appealed. And so that's kind of where I want our minds to go today is, obviously I want to focus on victory. I want to win, but if it doesn't happen, we're going to set it up for an appeal. And so that's something that we have to look at, downstream, long-term, this is the fight that we have to fight, and we have to do it, and we have to be smart about it. And we just have to be patient. That's just part of this process. There's a lot of people who don't understand how the process works. So the way the process works, this is not a jury trial. This is a federal judge. She ruled back in December. It wasn't necessarily the most friendly ruling that we could have gotten. But fortunately, we had the Harney County that stepped in, gave us the TRO, which basically stopped everything in its tracks. And so this is just, we're revisiting this. This is the official trial. There's been a lot that goes into this. And there's been a huge cost. And I think the thing that I would focus on today, and if I could leave you with something today, is understand that this is already into the hundreds of thousands of dollars when it comes to court costs. The state of Oregon, which I released my Freedom of Information Act request the other day, they're still, tomorrow, they're supposed to have everything for me for the rest of that. And I mean, we're probably, I would imagine, over, 1.5 million. Because the last time I saw that number, it was just over 1 million. And so, it's, and that's money that can be taken, and it's being taken from other important resources in the state. And so, that's kind of where I'm at. And I don't know who put this. Let's look at this one real quick. This one's, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing, is we have to look at this background. I'm not used to this background. It's weird. I typically have a camera that I set up, and so, I hope the audio is good, because I'm doing things a little bit differently because I'm on the road. And so, with this situation, this is not something that's going to be handled this week. And obviously what's going to happen is we have a scheduled trial up here from Monday to Friday. And it was absolutely incredible, the amount of money that was being spent today. I counted 12 attorneys on their side, and we had at least as many on our side as well. And so, we're talking an exorbitant amount of resources that are being just drained at this point. We had expert witnesses. We had people that were coming in to testify on our behalf, which did really, really good job, which I'll talk about them as well. But we have to understand the end game here is it's a war of attrition, right? So if we run out of money, we lose the funding, we lose the ability to do what we're doing right now to set us up for future skirmishes in this saga. I'm going to call it a saga. This is the Measure 114 saga. And so I'll follow up with a post today where I'm going to put it in text form and just kind of break down, my thoughts, I want to celebrate victories. Like, so we had some victories today. The victory that I would celebrate is obviously, Adam Johnson doing the stuff that he did, tremendous work. Jessica Harris, the way she led off and just really did a solid job there. That's a victory. Follow that, we had one of our Sherman County Sheriff, his Brad Lowry, and he did a tremendous job on talking about the impact of Measure 114 in his county. And what was really, really powerful about his stuff is the fact that, he has six deputies that they travel, 821 square miles of on patrol, right? And they have Highway 97. They have also Highway 84 that goes through their county. And there's been times that they don't even have people on duty. And so now, the state of Oregon, we're talking about the permit to purchase issue, is now they're creating extra strain on this county because this county doesn't have the staffing. This county doesn't even have the manpower, and it's a rural county. I mean, there's only, the way he described it, there's only 1,900 residents in his county. And he called it a frontier county, which, I like that because it's a rural, I mean, they're good folks and they're gun owners. And so that's kind of where it's at, is we have to understand the sheer impact that this is going to cost. And they can't even honestly answer that question. And so that's something that's really problematic. And throughout this process, I did a lot of stuff where I was reading behind the scenes, seeing, what Oregon State Police was working on when it comes to setting up the permit to purchase program. They don't have anything ready. They will never have anything ready. They do not have the funding. They do not have the manpower. This thing is really the execution, like the enthusiasm to get this thing passed, because all the special interest money that came in from out of the state. I mean, literally, we had $2.3 million that flooded into the state to pass this stuff. And the fact of the matter is, there was all this enthusiasm. This thing should have gone to rules. This thing should have gone to court. This thing should have been, we should have had the legislature hash this thing out with the Oregon State Police before we even talk about any kind of implementation or even going to court. But the problem is, we had Shemaiah Fagan. Shemaiah Fagan allowed this thing to get on the ballot. It was very unconstitutional at face value. She allowed it to get onto the ballot because she put it there. And then when it got, less than 1% approval in support, then she's like, oh, okay, well, the Oregon Constitution says this thing has to be implemented in 30 days. Okay, so that would have been December 8th of last year. And so from that point, it was a race, to stop this train wreck. And that's what it is. It's a train wreck because it's definitely not well thought out. It's written by people that have no idea, what a lever action firearm is, what a pump action is, what it does. And it makes all these types of firearms illegal because of their tube type magazine that holds over 10 rounds if they're mini shot shells, so it's just a really, really bad deal. And yeah, so I would imagine, so the Attorney General pushed Fagan there. I mean, they all work together. It's a symbiotic relationship up there. And the fact that, we lost, Fagan out of this deal because of all of her underhanded dealings. Why isn't there a spotlight on the Attorney General? That's one of my questions, because we've already spent over $1 million, like just in defense of this, because we shouldn't be even defending this right now. Well, this should be in rules. This should be like, there's things that they contradict already Oregon by statute. So there's part of that should already be cut out. I mean, it's just a mess. And so now here we are today. And so it's a mess. It's been a long day. And so I took lots of notes. I mean, you look at my notepad here. I mean, I literally took 25 pages of notes on stuff that I wanted to kind of report on to you guys. And just so I know, I have an accurate record. I have these legal briefs from every aspect of Measure 114. It's been kind of a chronicle. That's why I call it a saga. It isn't really a saga for me. But it's something that my gun rights are super important to me. And I think throughout this process, I've met so many great people, and I've kind of sparked their interest in their gun rights. And so there's people coming out of the woodwork. They're coming out to join this movement. This is what this really is. This is a movement. And I'm very blessed to be here and be able to kind of share the information that I get here. And I'm glad you guys listen, you take it in, you share, you show up, and it's been a good thing. And so, that's just something to think about. So, Brad Laurie did a tremendous job. Cody Bowen was here. He's from Union County. He's the Union County Sheriff. He's one of the plaintiffs as well. They didn't call on him to testify. Unfortunately, I would have really loved to see him, talk about the impact of his county. Because I think it's really, really important to see this from a law enforcement standpoint, right? Because they're the ones that are going to be tasked with, doing the background checks, issuing the permits. Obviously the training aspect that still hasn't been dialed in right now. So nobody wants to handle the hot potato when it comes to liability of people handling guns so they can get their permit to purchase. And so, that's the thing. And there's just so many holes in this. And I hope over time we're just going to continue to poke holes in this stuff. And that's the problem is they, I was talking in between with a couple of guys, and it basically, the cart before the horse, right? Like, here's the cart, the horse is like way down there, and the literally the cart's on fire. I mean, that's just the way I can explain this. I mean, we're walking into court with all this money being spent and not a single life saved. And that was the whole point of this, right? The whole point of this was to make this was a public safety issue. This was going to help protect the public. This was going to do all these things that were promised. And it was misleading in the ballot title, which, oh man, don't get me started there. The problem is the state of Oregon was sold a fake bill of goods here. And I want to be careful because I don't want to be demeaning or derogatory with the chief petitioners, but they have an agenda. Their agenda was funded by special interest money that came from out of state. Just like we can look at Measure 110. Measure 110 was passed a couple years ago by a nonprofit out of New York, which basically decriminalized, hard drug possession in the state of Oregon, which has led to violent crime, mental health. It helped increase the homeless population. So all of these things are super, super bad for public safety. We're not even focusing on that. We should be focusing on that right now because this is impacting people today. Obviously, we never ever want to see anybody get hurt. That's why I carry a gun every day. That's why I train. That's why I train others, because I never ever want to see anybody hurt. It's something that's really, really important to me on all aspects when it comes to either kids, women, adults. Like, I want people trained. I want people to know that, with these rights come great responsibilities, right? But the problem with this bill, Measure 114, is we're punishing the law abiding. Okay. We're not doing anything to criminals. There's not a single criminal element or criminal penalty to any criminal that commits a crime with a gun besides being in possession of a magazine that holds more than 10 rounds outside of their home. That's the only criminal punishment for them. But I'm held to that same standard. And that's the problem. And so that's why this is not a good bill. This is meant to punish people. This is meant to slow down the system. This is meant to affect people that need the ability to defend themselves, and they do not have the resources either. And they're already talking about raising the rates when it comes to, this whole thing is unfunded, right? So we're looking, $50 million just to roll this thing out. And that was that's an old budget hearing. And so, none of this stuff is, I believe, accurate. I don't believe any of this stuff is accurate. I think they are trying to hide because they are trying to just force this stuff through on us. And so the people that are going to affect it it's going to be people of color. It's going to be women. It's going to be those rural counties. Those are going to be the ones that are going to be affected more than someone like myself, a white male. And because that's where the data supports that. So from there we had, Mark Hamish, and he was one of our expert witnesses. He came in. He actually is the VP of sales for Timney Triggers, which is really, really cool. It was cool to hear him talk. He talked about his experience in the gun industry. He's been in the gun industry for over 20 years. He's a competitive shooter, really, really solid guy, really great testimonies. And I love the way he talked about, they call them LCMs, right? So large capacity magazines. I don't talk those terms. Okay, that's a term of restriction. I do not talk LCM. I don't talk high capacity magazine. All of my magazines are standard capacity. Okay, I do not speak terms of restriction. Okay, the reason I say that is because terminology is really, really important, especially right now. And so there was a lot of times they're trying to correct things to get it on the record, and they're saying, well, this is a large capacity magazine. That's garbage. Okay, 10 rounds, 11 rounds, 12 rounds, that's an arbitrary number. Many of these guns that we use for self-defense and personal protection, they come standard with a 12 to 17. Some have 20 round magazines, and so that's something to think about. These are standard capacity. My AR-15 comes standard with a 30 round magazine from the factory. Okay, and so that's why I do not talk high capacity, large capacity. There's no such thing. It's a made up term that they use to demonize something that they do not understand. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And so I think it's just really, really important. And, so with Mark on the stand, he was in a position where he got to talk about magazines, how many magazines that are estimated that he estimated were in our society, which is he estimated over 100 million, which I've seen studies where it's up to 500 million 30 round magazines in our country, and over 40 million rifles. And that's a study that I saw. So definitely these are all in common use. This is not something that people just came to the AR-15 or the Glock 17 recently because of how many rounds are in the gun. This is something that since the beginning of these types of firearms, they've been readily used, and so that's part of the argument is in common use. And so that's something to think about. So from there, his wife was there. Ashley Hubinski was there, and she testified, and I can never get enough of her testimony. And I've known her for a couple years. She is a historian when it comes to firearms. I love guns. Like, I like talking guns. I like the way guns function. I started shooting at a young age, and so I've been around guns my whole life. I've been shooting my whole entire life, and it's part of my culture, and it's part of what I do. And it's, I love just hearing her talk about, the beginning of, and I took so many notes on her stuff. There's guns dating back to the 1400s that she has record of. So that was really, really cool. And she talked about, the history when it comes to, firearms and the way they are relevant in our society. And I really, really enjoyed her talk. They did the cross-examination on her. They really kind of didn't enjoy the cross-examination. I know that's their job, but I really did not appreciate it. And I felt that it wasn't genuine. I thought a lot of it was condescending. And I know that's just what they do, because they're getting paid lots of money to do it. I know this is part of the game that we're playing right now, this part of this saga that we're having in court. But I did not enjoy that. I did not enjoy, because I've known her for many years and I consider her a friend. And I did not enjoy the way that they were, trying to discount her experience. And I feel that she is a tremendous voice for, law-abiding citizen gun owners across this country. She's testified in front of Congress. She runs the Cody Firearms Museum out in Wyoming. So she has all these accolades as well. And so the fact that, they want to try to discredit her ahead of tomorrow, which that's when they're bringing in all their shills. And so that was really, really hard for me to kind of sit there and just, bite my lip, and because I did not enjoy that. But she did well. She held her own. And so that's, we're going to celebrate those victories. She did what we needed her to do, and she did a good job. And so, it's just so much of this stuff is out of our control. And the only people that really made out today were the attorneys. Like, I don't want to hit my mic. Sorry. I don't feel like I got anything out of this besides information for you guys. I don't feel like I felt like the ones that really benefited, the ones that were on the clock. And so, but that's just part of this saga. And so that's what we have to understand is how much is at stake here, and how this is not the end, how it's going to continue. And so it's going to be really, really important as we support OFF. I'm going to put a link in here, Oregon Firearms Federation. He was up today, and that was his organization. he had, an expert witness on our behalf. So there's a good chunk of change today spent. And so what I'm going to put a link in here. If you guys can, go over there, shoot $50-$100 to him, help fill up those coffers, because, that's how we lose, is through attrition. And, while we like to say they have an endless budget, they really don't. There's only a certain amount of money the state of Oregon has earmarked for this situation. And as long as we hold them accountable, obviously the Freedom of Information Act requests are a really, really important part of that, because I want to shine a spotlight on that. And so that's kind of where I'm at, is I want to highlight how much money is being wasted on something that is bad to begin with. And the problem with the other side, the petitioners, they're so arrogant that they will not even listen to somebody that has experience with a firearm, because they think they have everything figured out. And before this thing actually was passed, their whole thing, and the final weeks leading up to the vote in November, is they were going to say, well, we're going to just get this thing on the ballot. We're going to get it passed. And then the legislature is going to just tweak it and make it all pretty with the Oregon State Police. That was their goal. That was their utopian goal here. And what has happened is none of that. None of that. And the only thing that's happened is there's been people, the whole system is imploded when it comes to buying firearms. I mean, there's people that are still waiting in background check queues to buy a firearm. I'm not going to answer these 3-day questions anymore. If you haven't figured it out where to get a gun in a reasonable manner, because people are calling in those background checks, I can't help you. Okay. I've answered these questions literally 20,000 times. My time is going to be dedicated somewhere else. So my thought for you, and I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, is do the due diligence yourself. There's good shops out there. Support those good shops, and that's kind of where we're at. So let's see. Let's highlight this one. I don't know who brought this, because I'm not seeing this on my. I don't doubt that for a second. The information that I posted, and I'm still waiting for all that, so I'm not going to totally say $2.5 million. I know that's what's budgeted, because I have the spreadsheet. So I don't think we're at that yet, but we're probably going to be getting close, after all this said and done, especially when it's going to appeal. And so it's really, really important right now is we just fill those coffers and we support those that are doing the fighting for us. Some of these businesses actually put their name on the line, and so we can help them and shop locally. That's going to be really, really good. So know the stores that are calling in those background checks. I mean, you can get approved the same day if that shop is doing their due diligence and doing the work. And just it takes time. They just have to call it in. They have to wait on hold. It takes time, but there's shops that are doing it every day. So just support those shops. I'm not going to answer these questions about 3 days. I'm done with that conversation. If you don't know already, it's been 8 months. I can't help you. There's other things that we need to focus on. It's not, buying a gun right now in this situation. We should be really, if we were smart about it, if we have guns and we're okay for personal protection, we would be putting money towards these attorneys. That's what we should be doing. That's our move. And I know some people don't want to hear that, but because we want things, right? I get it. I totally get it. I'm the same way. We want things, but we have to understand that this is a saga. This is just another chapter in this situation, and so that's kind of where I'm at. And I want to give you guys this update. State police as well. Yes, there's situations. There's a new system that they're rolling out right now. I heard from Cabela's the other day that it's. I don't know if it's up and running 100%. And absolutely, right here. I'm gonna highlight this right here. I mean, just have conversations. That's the benefit of having these local shops is go in there and talk to them. If they're willing to call it in for you, spend your money there. If they're not, if they're gonna put you in the queue, then maybe think about going somewhere else where somebody's gonna support you and support your rights and make sure you take possession of that firearm in a timely manner. That's my advice. And I'm not trying to beat up on anybody. There's a lot of great shops out there, and I support all my FFLs because we need FFLs. That's the problem with this, is they're going to try to run FFLs out of business, but we need those FFLs to do those transfers. We need those FFLs to bring in, supplies and ammunition, all this stuff that we don't do. We need those FFLs to do that, and so we need them, and I don't want to see anybody lose their business out of this situation, because I don't feel that it was 100% their fault. I believe that it was the state that's really ran these people out of business, and that's sad because we're impacting families, we're impacting livelihoods, and we're making everything more dangerous for the public. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm a small business guy. I'm going to support small business, but I also need us to kind of come together and support and see the big picture here. The big picture. This is a 5 to 10 year fight, and I know we don't want to hear that, but in reality, that's what these because the way. Okay, let's paint this picture, right? So hypothetical. Let's play hypotheticals here. Hypothetical. If we lose this in federal court, this will go. Obviously, we still have state court, Harney County. That one's a great one for us because obviously what was over there is the state of Oregon had to prove they had the permit to purchase program to ready to go, and so that's the thing is they were supposed to have it ready. They don't have anything ready. And so that's kind of why we're in this situation. Okay. So Harney County is really a good shot for us. In this situation, federal court, this is either way, no matter what happens, somebody's going to be appealing. If we win it, they're going to be appealing it. If we hypothetically lose, we're going to automatically appeal it. And it's going to go to a higher court. So what happens is it's going to go from the federal court that we have here in district court in Portland, and it's going to go down to San Francisco. It's going to go down to the Ninth Circuit. Okay. If it gets through the Ninth Circuit, then it's going to go to the Supreme Court, which in reality, that's where it's going to end up. And it's going to take 5 to 10 years. These things do not move fast. And it all depends on the jury, on the court too. We lose, these elections have tremendous consequences. The fact, we're a generation away from losing the Supreme Court, and all of this stuff that we're arguing right now is going to be a moot point. And so this is something that, we have to show up and vote. We have to do all these things. We have to run good candidates. There's so many things that go into protecting our gun rights. And so, that's why I'm trying to give you these updates. And this is the first time I did it on my personal page. Typically I do it inside of the group. And so I appreciate everybody tuning in. There's been so many people following me and following what I'm doing with this thing. I just want to open it up to the group or to the public. Right. And so this is something that can be shared. This is something that, it's public information at this point, because I think it's really, really important stuff. And it's not because I want to hear myself talk. It's just something I'm trying to give you the best firsthand information that I can. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I hope that all makes sense, and so, there's some good folks that I met today, had some really good conversations, and I'm tired. I'm tired of this. I'm looking forward to the legislature being done, so I don't have to be in Salem anymore. I'm looking forward to just not having to do this for a little bit because I'm tired. But it's something that's I'm not going to stop. What we've done together is we've built something, and I haven't really broadcast it here because there's a lot of people that if you're not part of our group, the Oregon Firearms Advocate group, you don't see what others have seen. I've been doing this for over a year now. And I try not to, I've just been kind of keeping my personal page separate from that, even though I'm in the public eye. And so I just did it here tonight just so I can just broadcast everywhere to get everybody up to speed. Because this stuff is something that we need to know. We need to know no matter, but one thing to focus on after this is, one second, to get some water. I'm parched. It's hot in my room. I had to turn the AC off, even though I do have a piano. It's warm. So one thing to focus on though, is if we lose, let's say hypothetically, we lose, nothing's going to change. This thing is not going to go into effect today or tomorrow. What's going to happen is we're going to have a week of hearings and trials. It's scheduled from Monday to Friday. And then what's going to happen is she's going to probably take some time to, make a ruling. and then she'll release the ruling, and then that's what it is. And so, I'm not gonna sell you a fake bill of goods here. I'm trying to be optimistic and pessimistic at the same time. But in reality, we're just setting this up for appeal. So that's just something that we have to think about. And so, you know, that's kind of where I'm at. And we just I'll do another update tomorrow, and I'll keep you guys up to date on what's happening as best I can. Yeah, so here's a great one. There's certain companies that are not even shipping to Oregon, and because of this situation, they're concerned about them getting sued. So I totally get it. So this is definitely affecting our ability to be able to restock and replenish. It's a nuisance. It's all it is. It's not doing anything. They can't sit there and look me in the eye and tell me that this law that they propose, this monstrosity, is going to do anything to save a life. This is, banning my guns, banning your guns is not going to solve gun violence, quote unquote gun violence. I hate that word, but that's what they use. I speak their terms. Sometimes, I don't hang a lot of weight on this. But I do use their terms against them. So yeah, it's a big room, and I play the piano too. It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just my dog in the fight right now, and obviously this is the first one. Okay, so what's going to happen, right? Is it's going to go down the run. So OFF is going to be first because we're trying 4 cases at the same time. Okay, this is a very complicated case. Okay, so you have the Oregon Firearms Federation case; they're up first, and there's all these other cases. That's why this thing's going to take a week, is they're trying to try all these at the same time, and so I'm trying to evaluate if I should be up here for that long. There's a lot of cost involved in, I'd rather be at home. But the only way we'll get this information is if I'm inside the room, unless somebody else can report. It's just the judge is very particular about being able to release information to the public, and so that's something to think about, and so I try to. I try to really give you guys all the information that I can, and do it in a way that I'm not going to harm our chances. Like today, what I'm speaking about is, just what happened, the play by play. I'm not going to talk about strategy. I'm not going to talk. I mean, the strategy is we need to fund it. That's our strategy. So if I can hark on one thing, it's send money, send help, please, send reinforcements. That's what we need. Other than that, it's just it is what it is, and so let's see this one right here. I don't know who this is from, unfortunately, because my system I'm using, it doesn't give me your name. So if you could tell me who your name is, I'd really like to comment on this one. Yeah, I believe so. There's definitely a bias with the judge. Definitely. Okay, so one thing I will say about the judge, okay, I spent a lot of time watching her. Okay, I think that's what I get a lot from being inside of the room when it comes to when I'm in the Oregon legislature. I can do this stuff on Zoom. I don't have to be in the room. The problem is via Zoom I get this angle. I don't get to see the crosstalk. I don't see all the other stuff, the dramatics behind the scene that I get to see when I'm in person. And so, today when I'm in there and I'm watching the judge, like I'm watching the judge's body language, I'm watching her mannerism, I'm watching, is she nodding, not necessarily in agreement, but like where she's understanding what our plaintiffs are saying. And so in that regard, I felt like it was a positive thing for us as gun owners. I really do. I felt there was some things that I'm a little squishy on, but some of the stuff I felt like, Adam made some really, really great points that I know like they struck home. Ashley also had some really, really great points that struck home. And I really liked the way that Ashley and her husband, they were speaking directly to the judge. So they weren't even focused on our attorneys asking them questions. They were talking directly to the judge. Oh, hey, Jennifer, how are you? So sorry, it doesn't give me your name. And overload, I'm past that point. Burnout, I'm past that point. I was up at 4 a.m. today to get here, to meet my schedule, my people, so I could do this, because this is something that's I've been waiting for this. Like I'm beyond burned out, and this is taking a toll, but I'm not going to stop until we get some kind of resolution, no matter what that is. And I can rest and I can take a break once the legislature's done. Which I would look at the legislature being done. If she calls a special session, which she should already be done, if she calls a special session, then I can take a break, because then they can only focus on the budget as opposed to all these gun bills. So I'm going to stay engaged and active. And so let's look at this one. This is a great comment. So no, we actually, I'm proud of our people. Our people, we didn't have a huge crowd, but the people that we came, they wanted to be there. They were intent on listening. They learned, they did, it was great. And so, I was disappointed because I wanted to outwork them. And, I basically tried to time it where we can get up there to get through security and beat them, and they were already there. And so I was disappointed about that because I wanted to beat them. And so, it just is what it is. And because I'm competing in this situation, I am competing to win. And so in other situations, I've had to body them out of the way. I've been, I've said, nope, you're not getting in there first. You've seen the pictures. I'm going to do what I need to do to get to the front of the room, because that's where I want to be. And luckily, yeah, it was a good day. We didn't have to say anything to them. It was like, we're cordial. We're never going to get through to them. Like, these are people, like, there's people that I try to convert. There's people that I try to say, hey, can I explain this to you where this is going to make sense to you? I really try really hard to do that. But I have to understand there's certain people that I'm never going to reach. And there's some of them. And so I'm not going to waste my time. I'm going to focus on giving you guys the best information that I can and being the best I can for you guys, as opposed to, what's, trying to build a bridge with them. Because that bridge I'm never going to build a bridge with them. And, they are so stuck on their position because of obviously how much money's at stake for them. They are getting funded. They are getting paid. And we're the ones that are trying to scrap things together, so it's sad. It really is. And at the end of the day, no lives are saved. So $2 million spent, nobody saved. And that's really the shameful part of this is it's just made it harder for everybody else. Everybody else is trying to do the right thing. And so, we probably had 10 to 12 of us, and there was probably maybe 3 to 4. I mean, obviously the lawyers were all on their side. We did good. We did good. And so, and that's the thing I want to leave. I'm going to get off here. I need to turn on the AC. I'm starting to sweat. It's glamorous in this house of mine, with the piano. I'm going to get off here. I need to eat. I haven't really, it's been a long day, but I feel good. You guys feel good. Just know, help OFF, please. Help those small shops that are doing the work. Okay. Spend that money locally. Okay. That's what's going to make a difference. So, that's kind of the only thing I can recommend here is there's good folks that are in this fight. They're doing the right thing for us and on your behalf. And they need to keep those doors open to continue to do it. So help them out. So other than that, I'm going to get off of here, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I'm not going to crash. I need to go eat. I'm just glad I was able to get through to you guys, and thanks for tuning in. I really, really appreciate you. None of this stuff would be possible if it wasn't for you guys. You guys, pushing me, you guys being engaged. I mean, and so this is on my public page here. Let me brag on my people for a minute. Okay. Andy Munson, it was so good seeing you, dude. I can't wait to see you again, dude. I want to brag. Okay. This is on my public page. So public page might not necessarily see the stuff that I do inside the group. Okay. For my group, the group that I run, I had people writing testimony. I had people, showing up in person for testimony. We had people doing Zoom testimonies. We had people writing emails. We had all sorts of different things. And all of these things, that people were getting out of their comfort zone. And so I want to brag about that for a little bit is I saw my Oregon gun owners come alive in this situation. And they were engaged, and they were paying attention, and they were helping out. They were helping carry this water, and we showed up. And I for the public page that doesn't see any of this stuff very often, because I try to keep what I do very, very separate because of what I do with the kids, and because my focus is the kids. But this is just a byproduct of that, and so I have to keep them very, very separate, because I'm not a political, like, what I do with the kids is not a political mission. Obviously we write legislation to authorize, but like, we don't speak on political matters. And so that's why I've separated, and I do everything in this group, the Oregon Firearms Advocates. If you're not a member of that, go check it out. You guys send if you're one of my friends on there, join in, and that's kind of the thing. Join that group. It was pretty well rounded. We got really good information, probably the most up-to-date information when it comes to state of Oregon with what's happening, because as soon as I find it, I put it out, and I keep it separate from my personal page, just because I don't want any bleed over. But today people are really wanting to know where we stand, and so I wanted to do it here, and so that's kind of what I wanted to do, And so, Andy, I appreciate you being there, man. It was great meeting you. I met you a couple times, and like, things are good, and we just gotta put one foot in front of the other and keep going to work, and that's what we're gonna do. And we're not gonna stop, and we're gonna take it all the way to DC. We're gonna take it all the way to the Supreme Court, and that's what's gonna happen. It's gonna take money, and so if you guys can help Oregon Firearms Federation out, it would really be appreciated. It would really go a long way. So, other than that, I'm gonna get off here, and unless you guys have any more questions, let me look real quick. And so, yeah, I don't want to make anybody nervous. It's not about making people nervous. I don't want to intimidate. That's not what I do. I think I just want to have a presence. I want to know that they cannot do what they want to do because I'm in the room, and I'm going to say no. And I'm going to represent, myself, my people, my gun owners in a good way. And so one thing about this is just help me help this process, right? So my ask from you would be, if you agree with this message, like it, comment, share it, right? This is public. This is to the public now, on top of our what's in our group, So if you agree with this message, you find this message is good stuff, put it out, and you can help me out. You can help OFF out. There's lots of ways where you can get involved. And so I'm incurring cost up here. So if you guys want to help me, you guys can help me too. So shoot me a message. I can get you set up. But it's not about the money here. It's just continue. It's to help keep me going. And so, obviously I'm still going to keep going, but there's things that they add up as they have for over a year. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I don't always ask, but I just think it's something that, I've earned it. So, and there's a lot of people just like me. So, and I appreciate every single one of you. And Craig, I appreciate you and your kids. Say hi to Jake from State Farm for me. Oh, that's wild. So other than that, I'm going to get off here. You guys have a great night. Thanks for tuning in, and, thanks for following along. Thanks for being part of the journey, and thanks for helping, do what we're doing. So you guys have a great night, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks.